You're listening to Mark of the Maker. Hey everybody, I'm Mark Steiner and you're listening to Mark of the Maker, and this is our latest Minisode. These are usually short. This one might go a little longer. We'll see how long it goes. This is our fifth installment. How about that, man? Fifth installment.
Time flies, buddy.
Fifth installment of Sean Goes Back to School. So
probably the penultimate installment.
Really?
One hopes it's the penultimate installment.
Assuming all goes to plan.
Indeed.
Yeah, so fifth one, which is weird to think about, and Sean Kendrick's with me.
I'm here.
And just the two of us, so we're just going to chat a little bit about how that's going. Then we got some cool stuff and a couple things we want to mention here at the end of our chat, and I think that's it. So tell us where you're at, man. You got one more semester to go. Is that what's going on?
One more semester to go. I just finished up my fourth semester and looking forward to getting it done, getting my papers.
So are you done for this term?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Been done for, let's see, since I think December 4th or so.
Ah, okay. I know some places, man, they run right up against the holiday. I think Riley's doing exam prep this week for grad school, and then she's got finals or something next week. So different depending on what's going on. So what stuff did you take this past term, and you want to talk about that? Is that where we want to?
Yep. All right. So this past semester, I had two courses. I had manual programming for CAD, CAM, CNC, and industrial machining. We'll start with industrial machining. It's pretty straightforward. We make stuff. That's the bulk of the class. Our first day of class, we got given, that ain't even good English. We were given 5 blueprints, and our instructor was just like, all right, get to work.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, man. You know I'm all about that. Don't fuck around. Give me what I need to do and let me get it done.
So it's like a straight freeballing thing. They give you up front what you got to do, and you basically have the term to get the projects done. Is that the format? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you motherfuckers ain't first-year students no more. I shouldn't have to hold your hand. Here's your papers.
I like that. Time to swim.
That's what I'm saying.
Very cool.
And then manual programming, CAD, CAM, CNC. That's a lot of stuff going on in that one. Like we did generally for the first half of the semester, half of our day we spent in front of the computer doing 2D drawings. We got a sheaf of 2D drawings that were like fucking 37. And hey, get those drawings done. You got half the day to work on that, and then the other half the day go out and work on your industrial machining projects.
Okay. So what you were doing was replicating paper drawings onto the computer, or were they sketches that you had to turn into? Okay.
Yeah. We were getting blueprints for various parts, and you know, as the blueprints progressed, they got more and more complicated and complex, and you finish out doing some really weird stuff.
Yeah. Was this like all fully dimensioned stuff, or was it more like create the drawing itself for the parts that are in the prints?
Yeah, just replicate the 2D drawing.
Gotcha.
That's long and the short. And then dimension it to show that, you know, your drawing is actually, you know, to tolerance, to spec with what you were given.
Okay.
Because when you start dimensioning and putting your dimensions on it, it tells on you.
Exactly. What kind of software program were you guys using for that?
A spree.
Okay.
We actually last semester got a little bit of a tutorial in Fusion 360. One of the guys from Fusion 360 came in and put in an 8-hour course with us.
Oh, very cool.
But a spree's our thing. That's what the college pays for. That's what we use.
Okay. I'd like to take a Fusion class, like a once a week for a while kind of thing. I think that'd be fun to do. I really enjoyed just playing with it and kind of learning the basics the hard way. Because I drew up all the ray gun bead stuff in Fusion after they were already made. So it's kind of going backwards, I guess, but it was a neat way to be able to play around with, you know, if I'm doing design variations, what could they look like? And,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool.
And then you can scale and all that stuff really, really easily. I mean, there's just a lot of upside to it.
Yeah.
And then you got a motherfucker like me that has everything on paper that I've ever done. And you're like, how am I going to transfer this into the digital realm? Shit.
Right, right.
And the answer is, I'm not.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I actually did a bunch of stuff in Fusion, like just to, again, halfway screw around with it and figure out how to use it. And then I sent it to Shapeways, the 3D printing people, and had a bunch of stuff printed, which was kind of cool. Just little goofy stuff like, a phone stand for my desk and shit like that. But boy, it was really cool because I'm like, okay, I can draw this. Can they really print this? And sure enough, they can print some goofy ass shit.
And I mean, you got to look at that still as kind of evolving technology. We haven't even scratched the surface of what we're going to be using that for.
For 3D printing?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's as far as I'm concerned, in its infancy. I know we can do a lot of cool stuff with it now, but not even scratch the surface, in my opinion.
No, I agree completely. I think as it gets faster and you're able to do more structural things with it, it's really going to can change the game big time.
Oh, yeah. I watched a video a couple months ago of metal printed or 3D printed metal parts. That was really interesting. I mean, very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I did ray guns that were printed metal, which is kind of wild because it was like sintering basically, and there's almost like a plastic or polymer that kind of keeps the metal, I don't even know what you'd call it.
It's a binder that holds everything together.
Yeah, and then I think they sinter it out at the end.
A substrate?
Yeah, because there you go. Yep, substrate or binder, but either one of those is a good way to say it. But they came out really cool, and they had a surprising amount of mass to them. I mean, I guess they're more or less kind of a semi-porous metal at that point. I think they claimed that they weren't very porous. I never cut one in half. I probably should just to try it, but that was a pretty interesting thing to play around with. I think GE or somebody is like 3D printing gas turbine blades or something like that.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I mean, turbine blades, man, that's some advanced machining.
Yes. Yeah, big, giant, super controlled sweeping curves.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at one of those and I'm just like, oh, God. That's a lot of G code.
Yes. Yeah. We've definitely done stuff where we would print a, basically a positive, I guess you'd call it, like print a part and then use it to make a casting. And, that's not metal obviously up front, but it's a very quick path to get to a casting of, pretty high complexity pretty quick.
Definitely.
There was actually,
speaking of casting, did you see the pictures Andrew Bowedeman put up? We're going to talk about the Doughboy knucks again.
Yeah.
Of the molds on the trees and everything.
Yes.
I was like, man, that's a lot of fucking knucks. Nice.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sure you got to do a lot to make that work from a casting perspective.
Oh, I'd say.
Yeah. But that's a really, really cool thing. I don't remember if I'd seen it when we talked about it before, or maybe you turned me onto it. I don't remember, but yeah, I remember seeing those pictures of the trees. It's a really neat project.
It is. It is. I hope it does well because it should. I mean, it's just too cool. And to be honest with you, doing a 2-finger knuck out of a 1918 handle, it's a no-brainer.
Right, right.
But Andrew's the one who got it.
Yeah. Cool project from a cool guy. Gotta like that.
Absolutely.
We actually had a thing today in our company website. One of the new Cadillacs is going to have, the emblem at the top of the shift knob for manual transmission that like tells you what gear you're in. Those are going to be 3D printed metal in production in a new Cadillac that we're working on.
Neat.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. So there was an interesting thing, and it was like, oh, tweet this out on your social media. I'm like, okay, I guess I can talk about that then. But yeah, really neat stuff. All right. So did, your industrial machine class is interesting because it reminds me of a class where you, like the entire grade of the class is a giant paper that you have to write. And 95% of people wait till the last week of class to write the paper. Did you see students dealing with that in your industrial machining class, like putting stuff off and then kind of having to scramble at the end?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that I was the only one who didn't.
Ah.
I was done 3 weeks to a month early.
Oh, wow.
Dude, I had shit I wanted to do on my own. I needed to get those fucking projects out of the way.
Yes. Oh, that's
And it
funny.
don't hurt that I've been doing this a little while. I mean,
Yeah.
I know how to make shit out of metal, and I know how to get a little bit of a production flow going, believe it or not.
Right. Yeah, you came in with kind of a interesting background that might have been a little different than many of your classmates, right?
I mean, now, let's see, at least 2 of the guys are currently working in machine shops. They know how to work, but they've always worked from somebody else's papers and done what they were told to do. Okay, this is your workflow. This is how you're going to do it. They didn't have to figure out, which part should I make first? And, when I'm doing final fitting, how am I going to get everything together and all this stuff?
Right. Yeah, and in your case, even though I think some people look at it like, well, that all that stuff should have been really easy for Sean because he's the knife maker, but it's different, right? Because you're not.
Oh yeah.
It's not. Oh, I just want to make this curve shape different, right? I'm contouring this handle by hand on a slack belt, and I just make it till it feels right. That ain't what we're talking about, right? With school stuff.
That don't keep me within the 5,000th tolerance. We have to keep everything in.
Exactly. What else did you want to talk about with the school thing, Sean? So you took the 2 classes. Obviously, those went okay.
I haven't got my final grades yet. At midterm, I had A's. I really don't see that changing, knock on wood. So
Nice.
And I mean, I just enjoyed the hell out of the semester. I mean, the manual programming, some of it was tedium, learning G code and just trying to remember all of that shit and writing so many fucking lines of code by hand. Just,
right.
It wears you down. I mean,
yes.
Write out a program that's 150 lines of code, and when you're done, dude, you're tired.
Yes. Yeah. It's no joke.
Which I guess we should talk about G code.
I was going to say, for the kids at home, explain what that means exactly.
And G code, it's used in all CAD CAM CNC machining. It's been around a while. It's basically a way for us to talk to a computer-controlled machine and tell it what to do, where we want to do it, and what we want it to do once it gets there. Here, let me grab my notes here. Some of your standard G codes. You have G00. That tells the machine to move the head rapidly from one position to another. Let's see. G2 code. That tells the spindle to spin clockwise. The G3, counterclockwise.
Okay.
Okay, a G73, that's a peck drilling cycle, which means you're going to set it up so that instead of the drill bit going in and just boring straight through, it's going to come in and you're going to tell it, how deep you want it to go per peck. Say, like 20 thousandths, retract a little bit, 20 more thousandths, retract a little bit, and you get a more precise hole and longer tool life doing that.
Yeah.
Then you have, G code is kind of a misnomer because you've got several codes. You've got your G codes, then you've got your T codes. Like your T's are your tools.
Okay.
A T3, it's whatever you want it to be. Say I wanted to have a 3/4 inch drill for my tool number 3 in the tool changer. All right, that becomes T3.
Yeah.
And then you've got your M codes, which, let's see, M3. Your M3 code starts the spindle forward. The M4 code starts the spindle in reverse, and M5 stops the spindle completely.
Okay. When you're talking about the spindle, you're talking about the rotation of the tool, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. Not the fore-aft side-to-side movement of the tool.
No.
Gotcha.
No, that's your X and Y coordinates.
There you go. Yep.
Everything's done from Cartesian coordinate machining perspective.
There you go. So the G code for a peck drill, it says G, what was it, 70 something?
Let's see. G73.
G73. So let me just guess. G73 and then either some kind of delineator, or comma, space, period, something that space tells it what starts to index the pieces that come along with it. And is it like a string of characters that tell it, like you said, the peck increment, the retract amount, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Like once you get into it, you'll have a G73 call, and behind that will come your Z, which is your depth.
Yep.
And you're going to tell it how deep you want to go overall, and then you'll break it down. and tell it, how deep you want it to go per peck,
Okay.
and then how fast you want it to go.
Yeah, okay.
Well, how fast you want it to feed in.
Got it.
And that's measured in inches per minute usually.
Nice. So it's not that it's not intuitive, it's just that you have to, one, it comes a lot faster, right? If you remember some of these codes, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
And then the syntax of all of that other shit that you have to tell it is very rigid, right?
Very.
Like
man, not as rigid as you think. Because,
okay.
I mean, there's some stuff, it's got to be where it's got to be. There's other stuff, it can be in a different order or a different sequence, but so long as it's in the right spot in the code chain.
Yeah, there you go.
Because like on the final I took, when I had to lay out 2 holes using G code, just telling the machine to come in and drill these 2 holes peck style. And I actually had 1 line too many, but it was still okay. Because the redundancy didn't hurt. It was already over the 1 hole. And for the peck cycle, I was like, I put, okay, we're going to start here. So basically I had it do the 1 hole. It would have run through it again and then gone to the next hole. But that's still correct. It wouldn't have fucked anything up.
Okay.
It would have just slowed down the process a little bit.
Gotcha. So maybe not the most efficient string, but not something that would have caused a real problem.
Yeah, it would not have crashed.
Yeah, there you go. So for people that haven't worked with this stuff, what happens is when someone uses a program like Mastercam or something else, they create a model and then they ask the computer to go basically write the G code for them.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. So it's a classic example of like the analogy I would think of is like math class. Okay, well, there's a button on your calculator that's going to perform this function, and that's nice, but let's go do it the old school way so that you understand how and why it performs that function.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. And man, part of it is just making you functionally conversational with the machine.
There you go.
Because even if, you use your software, it does all the G code for you, you've got your program loaded in, well, you run into a hitch and your fucking spindle stops. All right, you got to hop into that code and know what's going on. You've got to be able to talk to that machine, see what it's reading, and, edit that code.
Right. Michael Birch is shivering right now. He's like, this motherfucker.
I'm but a neophyte. For now.
For now. That's right. This is just a building block on my way to intergalactic domination.
Damn straight, man. Boots on throats.
Excellent. All right. Well, there you go. G code, not even 101. G code intro. Intro to G code, chapter 1 we just had.
G code cliff notes for the fucking insane.
Oh, people are listening to this going, what the fuck did I get into? Why am I listening to this podcast?
Then turn it off, bitch. We might want to edit that. I probably alienated who knows how many listeners already. A bunch of math dorkery, and then he tells me to fuck off. Fuck this guy.
Yes. Yep. I see our stats tumbling. I'm visualizing it. Our already
rolls downhill.
Yeah, our already shoddy stats tumbling even further into the abyss. So all right. So what kind of you did some projects, right? What kind of projects did you do in class? What stuff did you make as part of your? I assume as part of your industrial machining class.
All right. Well, the 2 I won't go into depth on at all are we did a half of a machining fixture, and the way the instructor came by that, one of the local factories came to the school and was like, "Hey, we need this machining fixture and we need it quick. Could you guys do this for us, using your tools and use it as part of your class?" And our instructor, he wants to create a relationship with any local businesses that could possibly hire. So, okay, yeah, we can do that. And it was a complicated enough fixture that he held on to the blueprints, and shit, I guess every semester they get to do that one because it covers a little bit. You got to tap multiple holes. You've got to go in and create a circular pocket, well, a half of a circular pocket, and a couple other things that can be a little tetchy if you don't know what you're doing.
Cool.
But really quick one, that was the first one I knocked out. funny story about that one. I had to do that twice. The first one, I was getting ready to tap it, and I got my tap into it, and I was just like, fuck it, I'm going to power tap it. I'm going to finish it out on the mill. So I run my tap down in there, snap the son of a bitch off. Oh, like, oh, fuck. Well, you know what? I'll take this home. I'll dump it in the ferric and just eat that tap out. Fuck it. We'll turn that tap into paste and get back and, retap it. Well, guess what? Aluminum reacts with ferric. Yeah, I dropped it in the ferric, sealed the top, and walked away. Came back an hour and a half later. It had got so hot, it had nearly melted through my container. It had dissolved probably 20% of the aluminum and hadn't done hardly shit to the tap. I mean, I pulled the top off of it. There was smoke coming out of it.
Boy.
I had to get welding gloves because it was so hot. Take it outside. Damn. It was a clusterfuck. But hey, I learned something. Learned not to put fucking aluminum in ferric.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys don't use a lot of aluminum in custom knife world, so surprise.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Hey, it was something to see.
They had to deploy the Aberdeen hazmat team.
Shh. Dude, we don't need people coming nosing around Ellsbury.
Hey.
Ellsbury is a sovereign protectorate.
It's an island of its own.
So saith the Duke of Ellsbury.
There you go. Oh, too funny. Well, like you say, learn something new every day, they say.
Yeah, sometimes you learn it the hard way.
By melting your project. That's the only way
I've ever learned anything.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, we did that one, and then the other one, it was a little threaded pull knob. You do part of it on the lathe, part of it in the mill. Fun little project. It took me, 4 or 5 hours. It wasn't bad. Done in aluminum, so, finishes turned out really nice off the CNC. Everything looked nice. Just a nice little part.
Yeah, man.
And then, let's see. The next one I made a pull hammer. And if you've never seen a pull hammer before, it's basically a long rod that goes through a handle, a fairly beefy handle. And there's a capture on each end of the rod. And you can connect the rod to say, I guess one of the things it gets used most for is pulling dents.
Yep.
You can connect that to, a little hole in your dent that you've made, and then pop, pull back on that handle. It catches the other end of the rod and pow, pulls that dent out.
Nice.
Actually, you can use it for pulling gears and bearings and shit too.
I was going to say, I'm familiar with that tool.
Man, I was not. He assigned it to us, and I was like, what the fuck are you going to use this for?
Okay.
Then I got to looking around, and I was like, oh, okay, that's what the fuck you'd use that for.
Yeah, we always call it a slide hammer.
Yeah, I've seen it called that now that I've looked around.
Yep, and like you said, we always had a bunch of them because they had different shapes on the end to be able to grab onto different stuff, whether it was... I think you can people in regular everyday car repair world use them for like pulling bearing races and stuff like that.
Totally see it. And now ours is set up so you could put multiple attachments on the end.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Fancy pants slide hammer.
Little bit of forethought on that one. And once again, a fun project, the actual rod itself is steel. The hammer handle that you hold on to and slide was aluminum, so you had multiple materials there. And once again, you did a little bit, you do a little bit in the CNC lathe, then some stuff you had to take over to the regular manual lathe, and, just keeping you bouncing between machines, keeping you fresh, keeping you thinking.
I thought you were going to say, and the handle was faceted zirconium with a mother of pearl inlay at the base.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm not that good yet, although I'm working on it, buddy. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
And then, let's see, my favorite project was we made a vise with a swivel base and just had a ball of a time with that one. And that was, multiple parts. There were 6 or 7 different parts we had to make for it. And just doing the swivel base, going in, and you had to cut T-slots in the swivel base, and that's a really chancy operation in and of itself because you've got to machine a circle and then machine a circle pocket onto a certain part of that circle so your cutter can come over, drop into the circle you've machined, and it's a T-slot cutter, which is basically like a dovetail cutter, but it's square edged.
Yeah.
And it's got to drop in there and then undercut inside of that. So, you can mount your vise onto that base and it'll swivel 360.
Yeah, nice.
And just a fun project. I enjoyed the heck out of that. And it uses steel and brass. I kind of like working with brass. It's different.
Yeah.
And just a fun project. And I was happy with the way it turned out. It didn't turn out perfect, but it turned out pretty decent, especially considering I was using a mix of manual and CNC, and I'm really new to the CNC thing.
Right. Well, that's cool, man. You posted a picture of that today or yesterday or something, right? It seems like I just recently saw
today.
it. Okay.
Yeah, actually, we were going to be talking about it tonight, and that got me thinking about it. So I went ahead and got a picture, and I'll share pictures of the projects in the Facebook group.
Very cool,
Mark of the Maker group.
Did you guys have to make the screw too?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, did that in the CNC.
Very cool.
Let's see, cut the thread between centers.
Fun stuff, man.
I enjoyed it. And then the last project was just a small hardened steel punch, but it was done in the heat treat oven I ordered and set up with the heat treat program that I put into it. And very happy with how it turned out. If I had it to do over, I would temper it back just a little harder. I think I got it a little soft. I was shooting for a spring temper because I figured, that's maximum toughness, that's maximum impact resistance. But you need a little more hardness so that when I pin punch some mild steel with it and it just boom, you would think the damn thing was going to go straight through the mild steel. I went to punch a piece of 3V and it rolled over the tip. 3V was just like, yeah, fuck you, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, now you know.
Yep. Yeah, and I told my teacher, I was like, hey, next time we run this project, you need to make a note. We need to, not temper it quite so soft.
Yeah.
We need another point or two of hardness, I believe.
Awesome.
But just the fact that, that's the first time any heat-treated parts have been done in that class in a long time, and that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mentioned in one of the previous ones that you guys had some pretty old heat treat stuff, not great, maybe been out of order for quite some time or out of service.
Quite some time.
Yeah. Very cool. I think I'm not supposed to say memorial because you're still kicking. I'll say the Sean Kendrick Memorial Heat Treat Center.
Oh, dude, I'll be dead one day. We can call it that.
Very cool, man. And it's practical stuff, right? Stuff that maybe not so much with Slat Hammer, although you could use it in other real life applications. But like you need to make some kind of tricky special vise with a special shape or a punch a certain size to do something specific or whatever. Not that you couldn't probably have found a way to get that done without this, but now you've done it, and that's different.
Yeah, hell yeah, it's different, man. It's a difference between going in green as grass and having at least, a little bit of experience.
Absolutely. Awesome, man.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. It was fun. And once I got all of my projects out of the way, it was time for me to work on projects for me.
Oh, see, here's the real story.
Yeah,
now we know why he was done a little early. Patting himself on the back over there.
I'm what they would call a motivated individual. And I got a stack of potential bolsters. Oh, shit. Well, I think I did enough for 7 or 8 knives.
Nice.
Yeah. I did probably 3 or 4 for ruiners, 3 or 4 for hexes, and looking forward to diving back into those. They're just sitting there. I already finished the one. It was the black linen with the natural canvas I put up not too long ago.
Yeah, that's pretty. I thought it was a nice combo.
Thank you. I was just tickled as a puppy with 2 Peters on how that turned out.
What would you call that shape, the interface shape? It's almost like a double hockey stick thing or something, or I don't even know what to call it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. One of my instructors was like, that kind of has a yin-yang feel. And I was like, yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. One going into the other. It's balancing out.
Yeah. Well, cool deal, man. At least you're able to do some stuff that you can actually, no kidding, put to good use and applicable for your thing. Did you have challenges with the whole fit up, getting the parts cut to be able to match up just right?
A little bit man, it took me 3 tries before I figured out, how I needed to be running my cutters and all of this stuff. But not that bad. I'm still working on doing metals because I thought with metals I would be able to do them the same way I've been doing with the laminates and just double-sided tape it to my fixture. And there's just a little too much vibration when you're cutting metal for it to work with just two-sided tape. I'm going to have to modify my fixture and have at least 2 clamps on it.
Right.
If I'm going to do like Zerk or something like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I busted 6 fucking end mills trying to do Zerk and ruined 3 pieces of Zerk. So, I mean, I'm getting that learning curve out of the way. I got a pretty good idea what I need to do.
Yeah. Well, like you said, some of those lessons are a little bit painful, especially when it's Zerk and stuff, right? This stuff's not cheap or busting tools or whatever, but there's also something to be said for doing things, failing, and those are the ones you don't forget. Right.
Damn straight.
It's almost like I don't need to write that down. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not no time soon am I going to forget what happened there.
Nah, but if it leaves a scar, you ain't going to forget it no time soon.
Exactly. So so you got one more semester. What's coming up? What are you going to deal with next at school?
All right. So next semester starts January 11th, and I've got 3 classes. We've got Advanced Industrial Machining, which is a continuation of industrial machining with just more complicated projects. And then we have Advanced Programming and Setup, which is basically the manual programming CAD/CAM CNC, but with a 3D element thrown in, and then more advanced CNC techniques.
Good deal. Nice.
And then the third class is called the Practicum. And that's basically you got one project. And it should, kind of show your skill.
Okay.
Show what you've learned.
Do you get to help define the project?
I'm gonna. I got an idea of what the fuck I'm going to do.
There you go. Okay.
And now my instructor has been really easy to work with me on that. So, yeah. I mean, hopefully, I mean, I think the only thing that'll stop me from doing it is myself and just not being able to figure out how to do it. Right. I know what I want to do. 2-finger bally. 2-finger knuckle bally. Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to cough slightly before you say
yeah.
Throw the kids off.
I'm going to get myself into a goddamn Tom grind boarding cutlass situation with it.
Yes. Oh, that's cool. In engineering school, we always called that a senior project. Same kind of thing. It's sort of like the culmination of, okay, take everything you learned, go off and do something big, like something that takes the whole term to do. It's got to be defined as a big thing. It's got to have, you got to do the math around it. You got to document it. You got to get the whole field done. So it sounds like something similar, but in a very hands-on way, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally.
Awesome.
It sounds to me like it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Right. So does it include that stuff? Like you're going to draw it up. You got to have drawings for it. Then you actually make the project or whatever assembly or whatever it is that you're going to do.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
nice.
Now, as far as I know, the way I'm going to approach it is, I'll have all of my drawings. I'll have all my G code. I can turn all of that in. I'll show examples of any fixtures I have to build for it. And then I'll also have the final finished piece. It'll involve manual machining, CNC machining, heat treat, freehand grinding, use of exotic alloys, this and that,
I like it.
Yeah. I don't want to half-ass it. And if I can turn a nickel on it after it's over, so much the better.
Yes, for sure. Sounds like a fine way to wrap it up. And so after that, you're done. Is there you got a graduation process you got to go through, like where they verify all your credits and you get a certificate and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, man, I don't know if we're going to have like a graduation ceremony. Kane didn't. All they did was send him a big manila envelope with a bunch of certificates in it.
Okay.
But yeah, once I graduate, get my grades, I'll have a big manila envelope with a shitload of certificates in it.
You'll have to do something out in the backyard or something.
Oh, well, now, if we have a graduation ceremony, I'm going to go ahead and invite every one of our listeners to it. I'll let you know the date and time. Bring your own booze.
There you go. So is this the end of an era? Sean School episodes.
And the beginning of a new one.
There it is, the man of mystery.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I don't think I've thought about, going and seeing what I could do from a bachelor's degree standpoint, but to be honest with you, I'm missing being able to be in the shop 7 days a week.
Yeah.
It's cutting a little too much into my time.
Right. Yeah, I could certainly see that.
I mean, if I throw myself into something, it's 110% or not at all, and I've thrown myself in 110%, and I mean, we've still paid bills, but I've had to hustle.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't like to hustle. I'm lazy. Damn.
Let's be honest.
Man, I think I have been honest about that from the get-go.
That's true. Very consistent message you've been sending.
Hey, truth in advertising, baby.
Yes. Well, call it lazy, call it what you want. I think anybody who's had that experience of, I got to actually support a family and deal with bills and house and whatever, and run a business at the same time. And oh, by the way, I'm going to go to school. It's a lot, right? And it's a lot to juggle. It can get a little stressful at times. Sometimes stuff doesn't exactly go your way, and it's not an easy game.
Yeah, and I mean, hats off to everybody who does it and make it work.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, very cool, man. We'll leave it hanging. We'll call it not the last episode, but the to be continued ... just like on the old Western movie. We just don't know if there's another one coming.
Yeah, always room for a sequel if there's money.
That's right. Sean Goes Back to School 17 episode.
Go the professional student route.
Yes. I'm going to guess no on episode 17 of that, but you never know.
Hey, man, stranger things.
Absolutely. Man, what else? You got anything else you wanted to talk about?
Man, I want to give a shout out to Colby Brewer and Amy Brewer. Colby just finished up his chemotherapy treatment, and I just want him to know that we wish him the best. We always enjoy getting to see him, and we hope to see him in the not too distant future, and to keep that shit up and keep being you, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, Colby got to ring the bell the other day. I think maybe he's done it once before too, but
yeah.
But hey, it's a big deal. My mom's been through that stuff a couple times as well, and getting to ring that bell is a big thing. So like you said, much love to Colby and Amy. They got hitched as well somewhere along here recently too. So congratulations on that. And Colby, we hope you're doing well, man. We send you all the best.
Much love, bud. You guys take care.
Yeah.
You're tops.
All right. So I was going to mention a couple things a couple cool things I saw recently. Our man Luke Swenson, who joined us for an interview a little while back, traditional knife maker, he just finished a very, very fine looking lockback whittler. I think it gave him minor fits, but that's I think that's how the traditional slip joint, maybe the knife making world in general goes. But he did finish it up, and it's got some real pretty stag on it from the Loveless shop, and boy, is that thing, I don't know, I like that knife a lot.
Man, it's a stunner on a few levels. It's not just like, oh, that's a pretty pocket knife. It's got stuff going on that makes it a little more than just a pretty pocket knife.
Yes, for sure. And I think he's kind of planning on it for the Vegas show, but I'm having my doubts on whether that Vegas show is actually going to happen. I don't know. We'll see, but
man, I ain't counting on any shows happening next year.
No.
That's the way I'm living my life.
It's going to be bumpy for a while yet, I think.
Too uncertain, man. Too uncertain.
Right. So just between you and me, Sean, I might have to swindle that out of him if Vegas doesn't happen. I wouldn't wish ill on the Vegas show or anything. I'm just saying.
In no way, shape, form, or fashion, unless I could benefit from it. I kid.
Unless that lockback whittler could happen to come my way, and then, of course, we might have a different story. So, yeah, very cool. Nice work, Luke. Very, very clean, as always. Good-looking knife. And like Sean said, lots of cool details, and Luke's doing good stuff over there. That's why we're happy to have him on. He's a friend, and he's doing good work. We like that.
And, dude, just consistent good work.
Yes. And then I got a little care package in the mail today. I somehow I've slowly began to amass a collection of RMJ. What would you call these, Sean? These items.
Impact tools.
Impact tools. Yes. So Sean talked about the trench that the American Tomahawk brand guys were doing, which is kind of, I think, part of the RMJ umbrella, right? Or at least attached. And so that trench is pretty awesome. I talked about that on a previous one. I got one of the RMJ Tetsubos, so like basically a war club.
Dude, that Tetsubo is fucking titties. Seriously, I like the trench club, but the Tetsubo, it blows my dress up. I like that one.
Yes, it's very tribal, or I don't even know what to call it. I guess
I think of feudal Japan and cats getting their fucking skulls caved in. That's.
I think that's a very solid description. It feels like that in your hand. It's pretty badass.
Yes. And dude, I got a thing for like, rounded studs, brass tack decoration, stuff like that.
Yes. And
with the way that guy's adorned, it hits on all cylinders for me. I mean, I like the fucking stain they used on the wood. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. And I don't know that it's necessarily like a perfect historic replica, but in Ryan form, it's a fine tip of the hat to the concept, right? Yeah. It's very, very well done.
Yeah. Now, as far as that goes, give me just a second.
All right.
Because I know that there's a larger version called a Kanabo.
Okay. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of when I'm thinking it's sort of a...
And the Kanabo's brutish.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a large melee weapon.
Right. Seems like I saw a picture of a guy with one that was like not quite his height or something, right? Like big, feet long.
Okay. It says that a Tetsubo is a type of Kanabo.
Okay.
So I'm guessing it's just a shortened Kanabo.
That makes sense. Yeah, so that thing's real fun. That showed up a little while back the other day. And then I'd been waiting. They make a hickory, what I'll call a tire thumper, like a small, basically like a short bat. And they make one that's 18 and a half inches long. They make another one that's 2 feet long. And 2 feet seemed like a little bigger than what I wanted. So I was kind of waiting on an 18 and a half, and they had them in hickory, which is really, really cool. They got a nice little strap on them. They have them adorned in many ways, which is kind of fun. And but what I really wanted, one that had a little extra love in it, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
So
a little bit of weight.
Yeah. So they make
a little bit of meat in that ace.
Yes. So they make a version that they hollow out and fill it with pewter. That guy showed up today, and that is another nasty little dude.
Yeah, man, that takes you from felony assault to class 1 murder.
Yes. Yeah, in a heartbeat. And
literally.
It is super cool, and it's much less obviously aggressive to the casual observer. Like, you pick up the trench and someone's like, what the fuck is that? Somebody who's never seen something like that before. But you pick up that little bat and it's like, oh yeah, okay, right. And then with the pewter in it, it's like, oh Lord.
Yeah, it's party time.
It's party time, absolutely. So that thing's super, super fun. So high five to Ryan and Rob and the RMJ crew. They're doing some cool stuff down there. I heard they got a list of these kind of things coming. So I really look forward to seeing what they do, because they're having fun with it, right?
Yeah, and it shows, man. I mean, it shows in the final product. Everything's well thought out. All the details are there. And I just dig what they're doing. I really like it.
Absolutely.
It speaks to the artistic side of me, and then it speaks to the part of me that likes to wallow in man's inhumanity to man.
Very much so. All right. And then, we had Richard Rogers on recently, did a nice interview with Richard, got lots of great feedback about that. We mentioned in there that they were doing their holiday fundraiser, and they've done a fantastic job with it again. And really, I think their kind of fan group and the people that support Richard and Sally's stuff and are around the scene came out of the woodwork. And I think they're north of $26,000 for their local charity stuff. So well done, Richard and Sally, and all the folks that kicked in to try to help that along, because they just a great project, and everybody likes to do stuff to help, and it's wonderful. And when you do it local like they're doing, I just think that's really, really cool. So,
man, local's where it matters.
Yes.
Local is where you are going to see the personal payoff. You're going to see little kids who had a better Christmas.
Exactly.
And man, I mean, there ain't no harm ever come from helping a little kid have a better Christmas. Period.
Right.
And kudos to everybody in our community who goes out of their way every holiday season to try and help little kids to have a better Christmas.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's a bunch of people doing it nowadays, and it really is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
It's making real differences for real people, and that's fantastic stuff.
Absolutely. Man, I mean, take note of it. Take note of it. Like one of the things we do, we have what they call a blessing box down here in town. And, we're going to try to fill it up a couple times before the holidays hit. That's little stuff you can do on a local level that will make a big difference.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think Josh Hicks is doing something like that too, right? He's had
Josh is what inspired me.
Very cool.
I was like, that's a killer idea. That's something we should have been doing for years now.
Yeah. And it's not like you don't have to break the bank to help somebody, right? No. This isn't buying somebody a refrigerator or a car or something. It's
5 cans of fucking Chef Boyardee can make a difference.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think people realize how many kids in America are hungry.
Yep.
And it's easy enough to make sure that a kid gets something to eat. If, there are places you can go to donate food, they will distribute it. They will make sure it goes to the people it needs to go to. And we need to remember that. And not just around the holidays either.
Right. No, for sure. And even, it's absolutely a fact that lots of people are tight this year, right? Lots of people have had jobs impacted or lost their employment or had significant impact to their income because of all the craziness that's gone on with COVID. And, even if you can't send money or donate items or whatever, even donating your time a little bit, right? I know the people that receive all that stuff in many cases are as strapped for help to distribute it as anything else.
Absolutely.
So I think even if you can't help with the financial side of it, most of those places are absolutely thrilled to have somebody come help.
Oh, no, I can co-sign on that all day. Up until our local group lost funding, Rachel and I would go once a week to package food and distribute it to people who needed it.
Yep. Yeah, we had a thing through work where we went a couple times and worked where basically they would shops and stores, grocery stores and stuff had product that got damaged, right, where cans got dented or stuff like that, and they would donate this stuff to a food bank. And we would go down and help basically sort through the stuff, right? Like, okay, This stuff's jacked and the cans are swollen. It's no good, right? We can't use that. But this one's good, right?
You got to separate the wheat from the chaff. Exactly. Somebody's got to do it.
Exactly. And then they actually have a farm that works with them as well. And so they grow a bunch of their own crops. And so we went and planted a bunch of crops in the field, spent the day out there doing it the hard way, which was very cool. And in the end, really helpful for people because I think even just the day we worked, they said, hey, you're planting food that's going to feed X number of thousands of people. And it's like, oh, right on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now on that note, produce is a big deal.
Yes.
Anytime you can get fresh produce and be able to distribute it, that's a banner day because it don't happen often.
No. So yeah, all that stuff is just your time, right? It doesn't cost anything other than maybe a day of honest to goodness work and a little bit of sweat.
Yep.
That helps too, maybe just as much as spending, laying out some money for something. So,
and look at it as banking good karma.
There you go. All right. So what else did I want to talk about that we saw that was cool? Oh, you and I talked.
Cowboy.
Yes. Gus Cicchini has a new model called the Cowboy, and he'd kind of teased some work in process pictures of that guy. And I think this has a little Lanny's clip thing going on. And I think you were on the same kind of page, right, Sean? You saw some other stuff in there too.
There's a little bit of Lanny's clip flavor. There's a little bit of that Navajo drop at the clip. And then it's got that recurve thing going. So, I mean, it's a amalgamation of several blade styles.
Yes. Real pretty knife, kind of a cool crossover thing for Gus. It's not a slip joint. It's a flipper. It's, in fact, in Gus style, right? Integrated hidden attachment clip, inner frame lock. It's just...
Well, and by Gus standards, it's a fairly simple knife. But it's so clean and so elegant.
Right.
I mean, it stands on its own among everything else he does.
Absolutely. Yeah, clean is beautiful. I love seeing when he does these super clean pieces because they're, to me, they speak to me at least as much as his very fancy pieces. So,
Oh, they speak volumes to me.
yeah.
Well, you know me, I'm a simple bitch, so I like simple.
So, high five, Gus. Really beautiful. The Cowboy's a winner. We both love it. And
dude, way to use the Townes Van Zandt reference. I mean, respect there. Townes Van Zandt's the greatest American songwriter that's ever lived.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, well done on all accounts with this Cowboy thing, Gus. So we know Gus listens to the show, so great work, my friend.
Yes, sir.
All right. Jeremy Marsh is another guy that's joined us on the show. He spent some time here recently down in Texas with Lee Williams, and I know he's worked with Lee a few times before. They did Jeremy's chisel, which is sort of a, how would you describe the chisel for people that haven't seen it? It's almost like a gent's knife, but it's very stabby.
Man, a sleek, pointy, almost, would it be unfair to say that it has a little bit of a deco feel to it?
No, absolutely.
All right, a little bit of a deco feel, pointy as hell.
Yes.
Flowy, gorgeous lines. I mean, man, it's just a stunning pocket knife. It's nice.
Yeah, it's a great design. And so he got together with Lee and they made a kickstop version of this thing. And that knife is a really wonderful knife in hand. I had the pleasure of taking a bunch of pictures for David Ricardo some time back of a very heavily engraved one that Jeremy built and David did their handles on. He did both sides of the handles. They were deeply sculpted, just gorgeous. And that pattern is fantastic, the chisel. And so it's really cool to see him do this kickstop thing in there. So high five to Lee for squeezing the kickstop in that guy.
Yeah.
It's packaged in there, man.
Well, I mean, man, you look at that design and there is no way there's a wasted millimeter in there. I mean, everything is tight. It's got to be. I mean, it's got to be.
There's no other way to say it. It has to be nutty in there, right? I mean, like you said, trash compactor packed tight.
Snug.
Right. So, yeah, really pretty knife. And I think maybe Sean and certainly the first time I saw it, I'm like, oh, it's got black pearl inlay.
No, same.
But it's not. I think it's Zerk.
Yeah, man, it's one or the other. And the more I look at it, the more I'm leaning toward the oil slick Zerk like Jeremy does so well.
He does. He gets real cool rainbow kind of streaking going on.
I mean, dude, oil slick describes it.
Yes.
It looks like you're seeing oil on top of water and the light just hit her just right.
Yep. And same thing, sort of inlay, interframe kind of look. So it's a beautiful piece. I'm assuming it's going to be like a special bid piece. And boy, is it a great looking knife. So well done, guys. Love it.
Sir.
Okay, what else? Sal Monero mentioned to me, he said, hey, have you ever heard of this guy before? He asked me about this guy, Mike Moran Knives. And that's his Instagram, is Mike Moran Knives, all is one word. And Sal had talked to him a bit. I think they exchanged notes on some knife making stuff. Sal got a knife from Mike Moran, and he seemed very pleased with it. And so I kind of wanted to point him out for two reasons. One, he's doing real nice, very clean slip joint work. So all traditional slip joint stuff. He's out of Cincinnati, Ohio area. But he's also done some things where he talks about knife history, which I think is really, really cool because it's similar to what we do with the show. And he has just released an article or a short write-up called Remington Cutlery and Peter's Men. And it's about Remington and their participation in the knife business. And he references some historic, I guess they're promotional materials, right, Sean? And photos and other stuff.
Sales materials,
yeah. But if you go to Mike's website, MikeMoranKnives.com, check out his work. He's got some real pretty stuff in there.
Yeah.
Not what I would call super elaborate knives, but extremely clean looking.
Yeah, man. It's like before we started recording what I said, his take on the gun stock is phenomenal. It just looks gorgeous. And I'm not a gun stock guy. That pattern, I was always take it or leave it. I saw his and I was like, huh.
Right.
I carry the shit out of that.
Yes. That and the Eureka Jack. Gun stock, I have a gun stock, and it wouldn't be a go-to pattern for me. I wouldn't go to a knife show saying, I'm going to find a nice gun stock. But he does very clean example of it. It looks fantastic. I would gladly own one. And then the Eureka Jack he does, I think, is really cool too. Got a little bit of a serpentine-ish kind of handle to it. Mm-hmm. And so he's doing really clean work. But if you go to his website, check that out. But he also has a link at the top that says Knife History. And if you click on it, there's some really cool references in there to some works that are out there in the public domain, some catalog things that you can go look at. And then this Remington Cutlery article that he just recently wrote up. So, one, shout out to Mike. He's doing nice work. And two, if you like knife history stuff like we do, definitely go check out his site because it's got some real cool things on it. You might find some stuff in there that's interesting, might learn a little bit, which I know I have from reading some of the things that are there. So that's one of the reasons we want to talk about them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, little entrances to rabbit holes there.
Yes. And one of the places that Mike mentions, we've talked about this before, Clay Alders from Knife Magazine had reached out to us some time back and was very nice about the show, had good things to say. It was very, very kind of him to reach out to us. And then he gave us access to their catalog of historical information. And there are some fantastic historical references in there that you can get access to with a subscription to Knife Magazine. So this kind of feels like an advertisement, but even access to the historical documents themselves, in my opinion, are worth a subscription. So it's very, very cool stuff. It's something definitely to check out. And the fact that Knife Magazine is rolling still is very, very cool. So
yeah,
we thanked Clay before, but we'll thank him again. We have some upcoming shows that we're working on that I think there are some great references in there that we'll be able to use. And we appreciate you, Clay, and your support and your assistance.
Yes, very much so.
Man, I think that's it. That was a lot of shit to talk about, but there's some cool things going on right about now.
Yeah. If folks don't listen, they're the ones missing out.
That's right. All right, buddy. You got anything else you want to throw out?
No. I've just been doing, my normal knife nerd bullshit. And
yeah.
I'm going to save that for future episodes.
There you go. All right. Well, Sean, it's a pleasure as always.
And the pleasure is mine, sir.
Oh, that's right. We're learned men now. I gotta enunciate properly.
Enunciate.
So, thanks as always to our Patreon folks. Thanks for tuning in for a little minisode here, talking about Sean's journey back to school and all that stuff going on, and for listening to us ramble about some cool things that you might find interesting if you go find them yourself. You can find all that stuff we talked about on Instagram or on Facebook or some combination of the two. And we'll share that stuff in our Facebook group as well. So thanks to everybody that participates there. Thanks again to all the patrons. And as always, we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, folks. See y'all later.
To learn more about our makers, you can find Tom Crine on the web at crineknives.net, in his Facebook group, Crine Knives, or in his Instagram account, @CrineKnives. For Michael Birch, check birchtreeblades.com, Facebook group Birch Tree Blade Works, or Michael's Instagram @BirchTreeBlades. For myself and the Raygun Bead Project, we're on the web at raygundivision.com. We have a Facebook group called Raygun Division, or my personal Instagram @msteiner. For those interested in photos, references from the show, or some discussion about the show itself, you can find us on the web at markofthemaker.com, in a Facebook group called Mark of the Maker, or on our Instagram @markofthemaker. Last but not least, the ultra cool and haunting background music we use for the show is a piece called Noir Guitar by Stevie's Amp Shack, found at the Free Music Archive and licensed under Creative Commons CC BY 4.0. Thanks for listening.